Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, we'll put a bow on last night's 3-2 overtime loss to the Carolina Hurricanes, but it was at no fault of rookie goaltender Leevi Meriläinen.
And Mads Søgaard is joining the team down in Florida, so we'll take a look at how we would like to divvy up the goalie starts for the final 4 games of the season.
Perfect topic for a hashtag goalie-friendly show. It's all brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Go check them out. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. This is the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 771 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Wednesday, April 5th, and Pilsy, I think the Sens might have a new goalie of the future.
I mean, hey, a good AHL start shutout, not bad. And then right after that, another good performance in Carolina in the NHL. Leevi Meriläinen is looking like he's just continuously going from Finland to the AHL to the NHL and just bouncing around and having good starts all over the place. So it's very possible, Ross, that we could have seen the first showing of the Sens goalie of the future last night.
Well, we'll get into both goalies, as you mentioned in the intro, but I haven't had my chance to gush over this play because you and Martian had the postcast last night. If anyone missed it, you can go find it on your favorite audio podcast platform or on YouTube. But Pilsy, I've been taking notes all game long. I went back, I rewatched it, just watching how calm he is in net. Easily my favorite part of his game is the confidence that he clearly gives the guys in front of him. No rebounds. And when it was like, not just tipped into the corner, he was steering pucks. He was controlling exactly where he wanted them to go. DJ Smith made mention of his play in overtime where he makes a big save. Most goalies are just like, exhale. No, he's looking to move the puck up. How can I get this into an opportunity going forward for the Senators? But Pilsy, I want you to pick up on this. As a goalie, when you're in a stress situation, you let in one, it's easy to get behind the 8 ball, but he lets in a goal 1 minute and 50 seconds into this game, and it was clear, calm, like it never happened. Makes 5 saves in the first 5 minutes, and he just carried that in. I didn't think he had a chance on any of the 3 goals, especially, I mean, overtime's kind of its own beast, but neither of the ones in regulation is he going to do anything, or any other goalie for that matter.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he did a really good job of staying calm after that first one happens quick because he got a couple shots in, 3 or 4 shots before that goal, so he's feeling it. And then a tip shot from the point, nothing you can do there, but he doesn't let that get him down. And pretty much that second goal, same thing, Ross, another deflection from a point shot. You're not going to have much chance on that. And he didn't allow anything to really shake him up or to get him frustrated. The Hurricanes even tried crashing the net a couple times. Didn't work. Rebounds were easily controlled. So Leevi Meriläinen, if he's able to keep that consistently for each of his starts, whether it's in Belleville or Ottawa, we're going to see a good goalie for the rest of the year here.
Dude, that save he made, glove save, on a redirect from the half wall with like 30 seconds left in the game to keep it tied was unreal. And then just kind of flips it over, goes for a skate. Just, man, no pulse as we got in the scouting report. I think we're going to be saying that a lot with Leevi Meriläinen. And as we said, we'll get into this conversation a little bit more. But Pilsy, if there was a definition in the dictionary, I know we're not big books guys, but open up the dictionary.
Whoa, hey, come on.
Go find the definition for doing too much. That was a picture of Tim Stützle last night. I like where his head was at, but he was trying to win the game by himself when they were down 2.
Yeah, and Timmy gets into that mindset once in a while, Ross, when he's just like, okay, we're down. I'm gonna do 3,000 dekes and I'll just solve this on my own. I'll deke all the way from my own net all the way to the other side of the ice. And the effort's there. Like, you cannot bash the effort for Tim Stützle. He's working, and he had a couple really good chances that he just wasn't able to beat Antti Ranta on there, as Ranta had a great game too.
That high glove chance where Brady put it on a tee for him right in the slot.
Yeah, there was a couple of those chances, and the Sens hit the post a couple times. I thought Batherson had a really productive night as well. He was getting some grade A scoring looks, and ultimately, it comes down to overtime, and this team has not had success in overtime recently, or even the shootout, Ross. If you go back to the Leafs game, it's been tough sledding for this team. So those loser points that stay loser points and don't become 2 winning points, ultimately that may have a big conclusion in how this season ends for the Ottawa Senators, unfortunately.
Yeah, learning is the key there, especially when you realize Tim Stützle, I mean, 21 years old, and the frustration is kind of in his game right now. And you can tell that he's gripping the stick. How about after that initial where he gets robbed twice on one shift, he just takes the puck, he ragged it back to his own zone just so that he could shimmy the Carolina forechecker. He like put it off the boards behind it right to himself, and he's gone. And you're like, okay, that's sick. But did you have to do it? Like,
yeah, and oh my God, Tim Stützle always does stuff like that. But hey, I'll take the bad with the good when it comes to Tim Stützle, that's for sure. And I forget if it was this game or the Columbus game, Ross, but Tim Stützle was looking frustrated on the bench. He's staring out onto the ice. You can tell he's pissed off. And Claude Giroux just shimmies along the bench, like shimmies in front of players. And he's like, I got to talk to Timmy quickly here. And he's just telling Timmy, like, I don't know what he's saying. I'm not reading lips, but generally from the body language, it looks like he's just like, hey, it's going to be all right. We're going to figure this out. And Timmy's still pissed. And Giroux's just laughing. He's like, man, this kid just does not quit. And he's laughing as he walks back to the other side of the bench. He's like, damn, I thought I was a competitive dude. This Tim Stützle guy, he's not messing around here. And we saw a nice clip, too, of Claude Giroux kind of chatting with Igor on the bench last game as well, just giving him little insight, and Igor's like, yep, got it. And that's the kind of veteran leadership that this team desperately needed, and they got with Claude Giroux.
Yeah, well, he also had a very nice conversation with the referee, Garrett Rank, after his penalty in the second period.
I thought the doorman was going to have an issue with Claude because he closes it, and then Claude opens it again and screams. Nice. And then the doorman's like, okay, you don't touch my door. Like that, I'm literally the doorman. That's my one job. You don't touch the door. I'm closing it. And then he opens it again. So the doorman's like, no, I'm bodying you. He gets in front of him and stands in front of the door. And Claude's still giving it to the ref after that Jake Sanderson penalty that put them down 5-3. But yeah, what a guy.
He had a point.
Oh, he had a great point. That was a phantom penalty, Ross. Jake Sanderson. The only way he's getting penalties is when the ref calls it on other people.
Ridiculous. Yeah, you think back, it was, I think, TJ Oshie who gave one of the head snaps that didn't even touch him, and absolute bogus embellishment in a separate situation on Jake Sanderson. So 6 of his 10 penalty minutes this year, complete bogus. But Pilsy, we don't talk about the refs on this show, and they were bad, I think, both ways. Ottawa got their makeup call in the third period as well. And just overall, some frustrations, I think, this late in the season. By the way, Sanderson played over 30 minutes in last night's game. And
he looked damn good. Like, there was one point, Ross, where I could tell Sandy was getting a little tired, and he gave the puck away in his own zone. And I'm like, oh, no, this is going to turn out bad for Sandy. But then he does an amazing job of getting low on the ice, blocking that 2-on-1 pass, and then just clears it as if, like, any other player, that mistake would have led to panic and probably a really good chance. Sanderson's just like, okay, I screwed that up. How do I solve it? Solve it. Boom, out of the zone. Just easy. It's easy for the kid.
So easy for him. Timmy played 26 minutes, which I thought was going to be a season high. Nope. He's played 5 games with more than 26 minutes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a game up against the Jets when he came back from injury, and they needed him to just quickly play, and he ends up playing a career high. I'm pretty sure we talked about that on the postcast of that game because it was up in the 27 mark, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't the game in Winnipeg because that was the game where Derek Brassard was the #1 center on this team.
Yeah.
His game, no, not against the Jets. Washington right before Christmas.
Yeah, that's the one.
27-52 in that game, which makes sense because that was 2 days after the game in Winnipeg was December 20th that I was at. So, yeah, 27-52. Now, it did go to overtime. in that game. So that is something to note. But yeah, in a regulation game, his game against Toronto, April 1st, so just last week, played 26:48 in a regulation game. So Timmy is clearly getting the brunt of the minutes, and it's just going to help their development going into next season. But hopefully he doesn't have to play that much that often. 26-16 last night for Timmy. Unfortunate way how it ends in the final minute of overtime. You're just kind of like, and obviously I'm kind of being hypocritical right now because I'm of the favor of getting rid of the shootout altogether. But you're just hoping at that point. And I had messaged at Sens Prospects, our guy Henry, being like, hey, isn't Meriläinen ridiculous in like shootout penalty shot situations? And as I see him start typing, the goal goes in. I said, never mind. The stats are, though, because I'm sure some people are curious, he stopped 14 out of 16 shootout attempts in the OHL last year and went 2 for 2 on penalty shots. So when it's mano-a-mano, Leevi Meriläinen is 16 for 18 math guy last year in the OHL.
And I think that even extended to Liga, Ross. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but... What?
Aren't you on your Finnish scouting trip every year?
No, I missed it this year. I told you that. I missed it.
COVID.
Yeah, exactly. But he's just one of those guys where if you take out all variables and outside factors, he's like, I got this. I can beat anyone that comes in one-on-one. And yeah, I'm really excited that Levy's over here. Part of me thought, Ross, that he might stay another league or another year in Liga. I'm so glad he's decided it, and the Sens have decided that it's time for him to come to North America.
I'm really excited to see what's next for Leevi Meriläinen. I think one thing's for sure, he's staying in North America, right? Like, he's not going back again.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I thought he might do that because this is a Karpat kid who finally got his opportunity to play in Karpat. He dominates over there. I thought he might want to, squeeze it a little bit more and get one last year out of it before coming over, making the pilgrimage to North America, where he'll likely be for a while now. But it seems like he's ready to go. And this team, the questions in the crease, there's a lot of them, but there's some good competition between the young goalies. Are they ready to take over NHL roles yet? That remains to be seen. But there's some good hope in the pipeline when it comes to the goalies here for sure.
The Ottawa Senators have 4 games remaining in the regular season. How should those be divvied up with Mads Søgaard, Leevi Meriläinen, or even Cam Talbot? We'll get into that conversation next. Plus, some toxic positivity we're going to save for the end of the show. There is still a way the Sens can make the playoffs. Our friend at the Sens Vibe, he's vibing on Twitter, and he has the details of how the Senators can still qualify. Buckle up.
The blueprint, Ross. The blueprint.
Put your tinfoil hats on for this one. We'll also preview tonight's Belleville Sens game, where I'm calling it right now. I know we've said it's must-win territory for them for a while. It's make or break time. We will not have another must-win game if Belleville loses tonight. They're taking on the Lake Erie Monsters. That's all coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Guys, if you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. They make it easy for you. It's the only job site where you're guaranteed to find a quality application that meets your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. So you're not sifting through resumes that just aren't going to cut it for what you're looking for. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites trying to line everything up, it's like Ross's computer. You got 30,000 tabs open trying to figure out where you can find the best partner. No. Do it all with the best, powerful hiring partner. And Indeed partners with you with every step of the hiring process. You'll find great talent through time-saving tools like Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. It's awesome what they're able to do. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description right away, and you can invite them to apply. So as soon as it gets going, you've already got the ball rolling and you can get people looking at your job. Plus, you only play for quality applications that have your must-have requirements. So everyone else, you don't need to worry about. Start hiring right now and get a $75 sponsor credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. That offer is valid almost over. So you got to check it out right now. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit. Indeed.com/lockedon.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Shawarma Palace. You know how much I love our friends at Shawarma Palace. I'm going to be at Shawarma Palace in about 48 hours. It's our first stop. Every time we come to Ottawa, we make sure that we head to Shawarma Palace. Why? Because the quality is outstanding. They've been Ottawa's best shawarma since 1997, the same year the Sens first qualified to the playoffs. Is that just a coincidence? Or are all things better at Shawarma Palace? They are, and they're also bigger at Shawarma Palace because they do not skimp on quantity. I'm telling you, it's more economical than going to the grocery store, is just going to Shawarma Palace. Load up on their platter, get the extra garlic, get the falafel, get the chicken, get the beef. There's so many options at Shawarma Palace, and if you don't feel like digging into an entire platter, you just want to grab and go, why not get a wrap? They're so good. Love how they put them on the grill afterwards. You get that nice charcoal, but it's still fresh on the inside. Go there today. Any of their 9 locations now open at the Saint Laurent Shopping Center. Go on Rideau Street. Go on Bank Street. You're never too far from a Shawarma Palace, but you can also find Shawarma Palace on Uber Eats. So eat like a royal at Shawarma Palace. And a reminder that Sens games taste better. Game days taste better at Shawarma Palace. Check them out. Shawarma Palace. We love our friends at Shawarma Palace. All right, Pilsy. Sorry, I had to just wipe my mouth. I'm starting to drool knowing Shawarma Palace.
I know. It gets me going, too. I'm so excited to get that platter. Oh,
so soon. Save some for later?
Yep.
Or do you eat your whole platter at Shawarma Palace all at once?
Oh, God, no. Ross, you know, that would take me hours to do.
It would still be considered 2 meals because you take 4 hours to eat.
Yeah, I would start at lunch, and as dinner's rolling around, I'm just finishing off the last garlic potatoes.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for the weekend. If you're heading to the game on Saturday, would love to be able to say hi. If you see us rolling around the concourse with a couple Vizzies, to stop by and say hi. Can't wait for that. We'll be with the whole postcast crew at Leevi Meriläinen, Jack Richardson there. But we got another postcast before then. Tomorrow night, join us after the Senators take on the Florida Panthers. Lucky to be in South Florida right now, Pilsy? With the storm in Ontario, the storm in Manitoba. Seems like we're just getting one last kick in the behind here up in Canada.
Yeah, no kidding. Ross, the thunder and lightning was so crazy here, it turned my mic off. We were before recording, the thunder hit and my mic just was done. So crazy storm happening here. I mean, we did just play the Hurricanes, but the storm continues to cruise through Ontario.
Oh, the Lightning are coming up in...
oh, damn. Yeah, from hurricane to lightning. Look out.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, who do you want to see on Saturday? Let's work backwards from that. Which goalie do you want to see up close and personal? Because we got to see Mads in February. I thought he played well that game, the overtime loss against Chicago. Patty Kane with 2, including kind of a 2-on-1 in overtime. But are you hoping to see Mads, who, by the way, I think you mentioned off the top, has joined the team in Florida? Now, I quote tweeted at Sens Central. I just said, you know what? What's the point in bringing him all the way to Florida if you're not going to play him? But the next 2 games, at Florida, home to Tampa, how are you hoping the goaltending shakes out?
Well, I agree with you. It would seem weird that they would bring him to Florida if he's not going to start. Now, we haven't had any word on Leevi moving down back to Belleville, right?
He's on the ice at practice right now. Optional skate for the Sens, about half out there.
So they got 3 tendies right now. Honestly,
everybody's favorite.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work for anyone else, but it just might work for us. Honestly, I would ride the hot hand, and I would go back to Leevi up against Florida if I was DJ, because he's had a better performance than Mads or Cam Talbot has had in a while. And then if you start Leevi, then you start Mads on Saturday, and vice versa. If you start Mads in Florida, then you start Leevi Saturday. Look, I don't want to make this personal, but I'm done with Cam Talbot. Like, what benefit do you get from playing him in any of these last 4 games? Unless you, hey, we still do believe the Ottawa Senators have a chance. We'll go over the blueprint in the final segment here. Don't laugh. Come on. This is serious. But if if you don't think you have a chance to make the playoffs, then just see what you got from these young goalies. And Mads already played 15 games, but keep rolling him out there, get him a couple more. And I want to see Levi, what he can do in a little bit bigger of a sample size rather than just one game. So I'm all about the young tendies here, Ross.
Oh, yeah. Let them play. Let the kids play, DJ. Even though I think DJ's on record, Zach Burke basically makes the decision, the goalie coach, of who plays.
Yeah, I think the only decision, Ross, that DJ makes in that is the decision not to tell anyone. No one will know who's starting in goal until the warm-ups. No one. That's DJ's decision. I will not tell anyone.
God forbid that somebody found out who was playing, especially when that goalie is talking about how his family can't get to the game in time for his first NHL start yesterday. That is something I will never understand. Just we know who's playing up front and on D. Who cares? Just let them know who's playing goal. Anyways, that's neither here or there. That's just a little pet peeve here. But I think I'm with you. I think you probably play Mads. Mads obviously had a great game against Florida in Ottawa this season, right? Just a couple weeks ago. And then the Toronto game, probably wants a couple of those goals back, I'd say.
I mean, if he wasn't feeling well, that's tough. But, like, my confusion is if he's not feeling well and he has to get pulled from the game after 2 periods, why did he start? Like, is it something that happened during the game? I don't know. Yeah,
me neither. I guess that's kind of a strange factor that maybe we'll ask Mads. I'm sure Mads will come back on this summer. It's been a big year for him, a recurring guest, friend of the show on with us ever since. I think, he was already back from Belleville, but he was in Denmark when we chatted with him for the first time. But yeah, he was awesome against Florida, right? That was only 2 starts ago, 32 saves on 34 shots. Now, I want to pull up his home versus road splits this year. I think the team as a whole hasn't been great on the road.
That Western Canadian road trip was really bad for him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the team.
Got an 879 save percentage on the road, 900 at home. He's 5-2-2 at home in 10 starts or 10 games, and on the road 2-4-0. So I don't know. I think that either way, just give them each one start. Again, you think that they're going to go Mads based on bringing him into a situation where you already have 2 healthy goalies. What's the point other than getting him in the goal? So let's see Mads tomorrow, and then I want Levi on Saturday. I need Levi on Saturday, and then whoever plays better gets the Monday game against Carolina. Levi's obviously already played well in a situation against the Hurricanes, but I think that the Sens should owe it to their fans as well. Let's get a home start for Levi, okay? Either way.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of the next 2 games after tomorrow night. It's Tampa and Carolina, the final 2 games at the Canadian Tire Center before they end their season on Thursday at Buffalo. So take your pick which one, but I would like, as a biased fan who's going to be at the game, we've seen Mads. I want to see Levi get the start on Saturday against Tampa.
Yep, I'm down for that. If they decide to go to Søgaard tonight, let's see Levi Saturday.
Have fun, Levi. Your first 2 starts against Carolina on the road and at home against the back-to-back Eastern Conference champs.
I mean, Ross, it's like when you're teaching a baby how to swim. What's the best way to do it? Just toss them in there. Toss them in there. See how it goes. I'm not a parent, by the way. That's not Brandon Piller, not a parent. That's not parenting advice. But you see those videos of them just tossing babies in the water and just keeping a watchful eye on them. Things don't go wrong, then you go help them out. But that's the way you got to do it sometimes.
Well, we're on the same page that we've seen enough of Cam Talbot.
That's what I want to preface. It's nothing personal. I don't have any sort of personal slight. I'm not trying to bring him down. I'm not, trying to boo him out of Ottawa. Nothing like that. It didn't work out. It's unfortunate. I will say at the time of the trade, I thought it was a good deal. I liked it, but it didn't work out. In fact, it really backfired on the Sens with Gus having an incredible season here. So there's just no benefit to having Cam Talbot play any of these final games, in my opinion, unfortunately.
As the great Swedish rock group ABBA once said, breaking up is never easy, I know, but I have to go. And that's kind of what the Sens need to do.
Beautiful, poetic. I like
you know what else is poetic, Billsy? Trying to figure out how the Sens still have a chance to make the playoffs.
The blueprint. We got it.
We got the blueprint coming up next, and we'll also take a quick look at the Belleville Sens. Angus Crookshank is on a 4-game heater. Can he continue that? The Sens, baby Sens, host the Lake Erie Monsters tonight. That's all coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
The Cleveland Monsters, Ross. The Cleveland Monsters.
Oh, they changed their name.
No, I think they've been Cleveland Monsters for years now. But
No, let's see. Oh. Okay, yeah. Just since 2015.
The division rival Cleveland Monsters. But while Ross does some more research on the rest of the North Division in the AHL.
On August 9th, 2016, the Lake Erie Monsters changed their name to the Cleveland Monsters. Well, guess what? They didn't move, and Cleveland, geography guy, is on Lake Erie. So,
no, you're not totally wrong. You're just technically wrong.
Tonight, the Lake Erie Monsters against the Bay of Quinte Senators.
Let's go. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You can bet on that game between the Lake Erie Monsters and the Bay of Quinte Senators, and you can find it at FanDuel.com. It's the trusted online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sportsbook in North America. What more do you need? They're partnered with the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and for a good reason. They are the best. I love their app. It's simple, it's safe, it's secure, it's easy to use. The first 5 shots is an exclusive bet you can only find on FanDuel. I love that one. That's an easy way to get a couple shekels and get involved in the game right away. You can do same game parlays for bigger chances at bigger payouts. And you can find money line, props, totals, over-unders, whatever you want, you got it. And if you're a new customer, there's a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. You heard me right, $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. So don't miss this chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NHL.
All right, Pillsy, final segment of the show today. Appreciate everyone for making us your first listen. It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For more, you can follow the show on Twitter at Sens Central, on Instagram, lockedon.senators, and make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. It helps us out quite a bit. All right, Pillsy, before we put our tinfoil hats on, season debut for Igor Sokolov. We didn't get into that much. Played not much, 4th line minutes for the Ottawa Senators.
Little over 7 minutes.
7-12, although a minute and 34 were on the power play, the second unit, he was able to get out there. And you had a great stat of just how young this second unit was there, with the obvious exception being Claude Giroux, who scored his 30th goal in last night's win. But what did you think of the Shark in his first game of the season?
I mean, it's tough because he's been playing in AHL all season. He hasn't had a chance to get up to the AHL. So I think not only is he not really familiar with some of his line mates, but, DJ is going to put him in a sheltered spot. He's not going to give him too much responsibility or minutes right away. I thought he looked decent. I think, you can tell that skating isn't his strong suit out there, but I thought he wasn't really given opportunities to show his strong suit. He didn't have a lot of chances with the puck. He did have one chance out front. I think Pinto slung it over to the front of the net after Ranta was caught off guard with a puck off the stanchion. And I think Igor just wasn't ready for it. He gets a stick on it, but not quite the best chance. But I do like that he was given second power play opportunities. I love that he was put on the third line. I thought that was the right spot for him. And I think we're going to get to see a gradual increase in his ice time, especially, Ross, when it's a tight game like that. The top 6 guys, you mentioned it, Tim Stützle was eating up all the ice time there. And when you have 6 straight minutes of killing penalties like the Senators did, Igor's not going to get out there much. So I think that's just a tough spot for him to be put in to try to have a good first impression. But I think we're going to get to see a lot more of him moving forward down the stretch.
Yeah, I hope he plays the remaining 4 games for
I don't see why not, right?
Yeah, I hope so. By the way, just on that note, you mentioned penalty killing. Tim Stützle led all Senators forwards in penalty killing ice time.
Yeah, he's becoming a really good penalty killer, not just because he's an offensive threat, but he really is aggressive with his kind of getting gap controls, hounding guys when they get the puck. So Tim Stützle on the PK has looked very nice recently.
Very nice. All right. So let's finish off with Ottawa, and then we'll wrap up with Belleville here. The Sens Vibe, and I appreciate the name. Great follow on Twitter. He put his tinfoil hat on. He's saying we're not eliminated yet. That can happen, of course, in the next game because the Senators currently find themselves sitting at 81 points in 78 games. They are 6 points back of both teams, by the way. Florida has caught the New York Islanders. So 87 points for both wildcard teams. Pittsburgh has 86, and then Buffalo has 81. Same with Ottawa. Buffalo, though, with 2 games in hand on the Senators. However, they're not eliminated just yet. So obviously the Sens need to win their next 4 games. That's kind of a complete...
Just win them all. Win them all.
Win them all.
Yeah.
And then, Pilsy, can you go over all the help that they would need?
All right. Yes. Once again, courtesy at the Sens Vibe. Love it. So we are not dead yet. Not dead yet. So if the Sens, or I should say, when the Sens win the next 4 games, they will finish with 89 points. When Florida loses 4 out of 4 in regulation, they will finish with 87 points. 1 overtime loss is okay. We can spot them 1 point here. Maybe they'll lose to overtime up against the Ottawa Senators. The Penguins lose 3 out of 4 in regulation. They will finish with 88. Yep, they will finish with 88 points. Buffalo losing 3 of the final 6, finishing with 88 points, including a loss on April 13th to your Ottawa Senators. And the New York Islanders losing all 4 games. We can spot them in overtime point 2. That's okay. Overall, very tough, but not impossible. We are still mathematically alive.
I tweeted out saying that so very tough might be the understatement of the century with how the Ottawa Senators, and you look at missed opportunities, and we'll have plenty of time to kind of revisit this throughout the offseason, but if they had just won their last 2 overtimes, which is easier said than done because, frankly, they didn't play well in either, and we're lucky to kind of even get the Carolina game to overtime, and obviously the Columbus game.
Blue Jackets game, that's a whole different story. Oh, boy.
Totally. But if they get those 2 points, all of a sudden they're 4 points back and play Florida tomorrow night. It would have been absolutely meaningful. But you know what? It's been a nice little push here where the Senators had that 5-game win streak and kind of put them back into the conversation. But valuable learning experience, Pilsy. I don't think all of these are going to happen.
Yeah, it would be, the stars would have to align, but will Chicken
an asteroid would have to hit Earth for this to happen.
Yeah. Will Chicken and Shabbat be back for round 1?
Shut the hell up.
What?
I thought you were going to say back for Saturday so we could see them play. I don't think that that's even a possibility.
Well, we'll see them play in round 1 if they come back. Is Hamnick scheduled to return for round 1 too? Give me the round 1 possibilities of players returning for the Sens.
Leave in the comments what your game 1 lineup would be for the Sens.
You know what? I'm sure we could find a way to get Forsberg in game 7 round 1.
Yeah, Josh Norris should be back by the Eastern Conference Final.
True. Dope.
Can't wait for that. Hey, speaking of realistic situations, in Belleville, they do still have a hope and a prayer to make the playoffs. They're on their final leg, though, wouldn't you say, as they enter play tonight in 6th place, 3 points back of the Laval Rocket. Each team has 5 games remaining.
Yep.
And Cleveland has 2 games in hand. So they have a better points percentage than Belleville. But the good news is that Belleville's next pair of games, I believe, next 2, right?
Correct.
Oh, so the next 2 games are against Cleveland.
And both at home, Ross. That's also important to know. One will be tonight, and then the other one will be on Saturday. And then this is where it's tough because your final 3 matchups are up against Rochester Americans and then back-to-back games in Toronto up against the Marlies. So
the Marlies have already clinched the division. So are they resting players?
It might be a East Coast Hockey League squad lineup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Senators' season can just be put up here, Pilsy. When you look at it, they can be kind of discussed as a 3-3-2-2 is their record in their last 10 games. So when you're looking at how the Belleville Senators have gone throughout their season, it's just kind of win a few, lose a few. But the hope is still there that maybe, just maybe, the Belleville Senators can play some meaningful games to finish off the season. Good to see Angus Crookshank be on a 4-game point streak. I'd love to see him get a look in Ottawa by the end of the season. Would be huge boost for his confidence, I think, going into the final year of his entry-level deal next year. And what kind of impact could he have at the NHL level as well? We'll be looking for all those storylines and more as Locked On Senators continues. And we're bringing in the darkness, Pillsy. Nobody even noticed you left unless they were watching YouTube. I was in the middle of my little spiel. I saw you were frozen, so I just took you off the screen and just did a little rant on how Crooker is having a great stretch here and how maybe we see him in the Senators lineup. But you are in full bunker mode now, hey?
Yeah, I don't. Your pictures. Oh no, you're back now. Yeah, so I have officially lost on the hotspot. I've got my phone flashlight as my lighting here, but the show must go on. We almost made it all the way to the end of the show without dealing with this, but yes. Back to the Marlies. They might be dressing a soft roster. Ross, I've been tinkering with the idea of going to that final game of the season because I'll be driving back from Ottawa on Sunday. Maybe I'll quickly stop over in Toronto and watch that final game. But we'll see how I'm feeling.
Yes, we certainly will. I would love you to go see some other Sens fans down there. Pillsman, give me some final thoughts on today's show. I know you're not illuminated behind, but I know you always have illuminating thoughts to end off the show.
Yeah, I try to. My illuminating thoughts are we're still alive in Belleville and Ottawa. Yes, I may be completely off grid and cut into the darkness right now, but your Ottawa Senators and Belleville Senators are still alive. Let's see the young kids thrive here. And let's just stay positive. Let's stay positive.
All right. Positivity prevails as Pillsy. You can't see it because it's so dark, but he's probably wearing his Positive Pillsy t-shirt under that one. Can't wait for tomorrow's show already. It will be a game day. And do the Sens want to play spoiler against the Cats? We'll find out tomorrow. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.